Today, we're talking about something really interesting because in reality, we probably come across this confusion on a weekly basis. I wouldn't say daily basis, but there's questions out there and people would ask us, oh, audit, and they want me to get an audit. How am I going to have an audit? So there are business owners coming out to say things like that. So I want to clarify something with all of our folks today, which is what we called accounting audit versus tax audit. Okay, a lot of our clients who are coming from different countries, maybe when you come here to do business, you spend most of your adulthood in US and you're doing business here, and then maybe that audit word is not even in your vocabulary when you're in your own country, and that really applies to me too. I know there's two English words I had a real trouble to grasp because it is conceptually socially not accepted, so I didn't really know how to describe it in Chinese. That's why I had a hard time to understand that in English in the early years when I'm working, when I'm studying. That one word is equity, and then the other word is audit. And because when I was back home, I was much younger, so working is not a thing for me, and I don't understand this audit concept. But equity, never mind, because my time in China, majority of things are owned by the communists, so there is really no private ownership. So equity is not really about equity, it's about communist properties, right? So equity is not a term. So with accounting audit, is a new term for a lot of business folks, that if you are not really in the business world, if your mom and dad is not a businessman or woman, and you actually don't understand why those concept is there and how that apply to you. So I have clients who come to me, goes, oh Ying, I'm getting a loan from the bank, and they want me to get audited. That's exactly what they say. They want me to get audited. And why getting a loan would require me to be audited? And they're asking me. I knew why they're understood that way, because I think the bank was asking for audited financial statement. So they think that audit must be an audit of taxes like what IRS does to me. No. So accounting audit generally is being called as a audit. So an audit is an independent examination of accounting and the financial records and the financial statement to determine if they conform to the law and to generally accepted accounting principles. They also call that GAAP, okay? So basically audit is an independent examination. So if I am your bookkeepers, and I do all your bill pays, and I match your bank with your ledger, I can't even do audit for you, even if I have the credential, okay? Because you are not independent. In US, in this country, the Financial Accounting Standards Board, FASB, F-A-S-B, and GASB, Governmental Accounting Standards Board, are the two main principles manage those standards. So what is right, what is wrong, how do you gonna recognize revenues, and all of that is coming from these two bodies. So accounting audit actually has a standard that is sitting out there. So me as an auditor, if a school come around, say, hey, Community CPA, we'd like you to audit our school books and the records, issue a financial statement, issue an audit report. And that means I would go by those standards, GASB and the FASB, and to lay out by those benchmarks. And I will say, yes, your audit is done. You are conformed to the standards. So that is what the accounting audit is. So you might say that, well, in that case, how many types of the audit is? So there's 4 main types of audit, accounting audit. Number one is financial audit. You can imagine that is just for your income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, and equity side of things. Those are the whole set of financial audit. You can audit a private company. You can do financial audit for public company. You can do financial audit for nonprofit. Anyone who has financial records can do a financial audit. But if you're not required to do that, of course you have no reason to do it. But financial audit, it is one of the top audit for accounting audits. The next one is compliance audit. Then you may say, well, what is that? Compliance audit is to determine if your company has followed laws and regulations that may materially affect your financial statement. Okay, so you may have a special, in your industry, you may have a special requirement to account your income expenses in a certain way. So those are compliance audit. If you receive government funding, how you spend it, and whether you spend them in the right program, whether your program, if your program is to help everyone walking on the street, then eligibility gonna be coming in. Did you really provide that to everybody on the street? So those are compliance audit. It's tied with the financial audit, but it's an integral part of it, right? And the third one would be economy and efficiency audit. That determines the company, whether the company is economically and efficiently managing using resources, such as personnel, space, property, and the causes of any problem in this area if the company has followed the rule and the regulation and to this area. So you could be wasting the resources. So economy and efficiency audit is also comes in to make sure that the funding is being used properly. And so a lot of that, I see a lot more related to compliance audit and economy and efficiency audit in the governmental side of audit, like the government-funded nonprofit and government agencies and all of these entities. But for private company, the most we see, it will be financial statement audit. And the last one, the number 4 audit, I call that program results audit or agreed upon procedure audit, which is auditing a certain thing. For example, yesterday we have a home association group calling our firm. They want to do a specific audit on depository for over 6 years period. So their objective is very clear. They want to make sure that all of the deposit went into the bank. So what they think they should be deposited is actually in the bank. So that is what we call the agreed upon procedures. We agree upon on these things we're gonna check, and then we're gonna check it is fulfilled. So those are program specific audit. The government could order that. For example, if you are a construction company, you are familiar with historical tax credit. When the government issue you the historical tax credit, they would ask CPA firms to do specific program audit. So those are the things when we talk about accounting audit, is sort of included under this umbrella. So the audit is not about the government coming to you. It is you getting that done with an independent auditor, presenting the result to the people who ask you to get that done. So our firm has an audit division. So we actually have inquiries coming in from nonprofit, from private companies who are going through mergers, acquisitions. You can imagine that when you go through mergers and acquisition, you as a business owner, for example, if you have a CPA firm, and you say that, well, my CPA firm worth $1 million, and because I have this much of income coming in, and you want to merge with another CPA firm, why would the other CPA firm believe that you have that? So an audit might be required to have an independent CPA firm coming in, audit your book and record, making sure that you really do worth that much. And then you can go through merger and acquisition, right? Sometimes you may be expanding your business. You say that I have a restaurant business. Now, my nephew is really interested in it. He's gonna buy in 25% of it. But 25% of the company value How do you determine that? If you don't have a accountable and reliable financial statement, and you probably won't even know the number is right or wrong, right? And with that, isn't that true? And when you get into the potential partner, and you're going to end up needing to prove that your books and record is reliable, is accurate, materially fairly presented, right? So that is where the needs of accounting audit comes in. So you initiate that. You look for community CPA to do that for you, but you present to the people who want it. Of course, if you are getting loans from the bank, or if maybe you are renting a place from a landlord, the landlord would want that. If you are a public company, you absolutely required to do that. How would how would people on internet knows how much to buy for your share? You of course need to have a good accounting in place, an audit in place, so your value per share is as accurate, as true as possible, right? So shareholder dispute is another reason for company to get audited, to require to be, inviting the auditor to come in. Yes, audit me because I need it. So that is, from the direction standpoint, you can see that accounting audit, general audit, it is you inviting an independent CPA firm coming to look at your books and record, issue a report. Okay, so that is so much about an audit. So don't jump up when you hear the word of audit. Doesn't mean you are in trouble. Sometimes it's to prove that you are not in trouble. That's why you are doing audit, right? So now let's go to tax audit. This is a fun topic. I mean, who doesn't know about tax audit? Oh, before I jump into tax audit, I want to add one more thing about accounting audit. And when we come through a pandemic from last year now, and so we're a year and a half into pandemic, and many businesses, in fact, I don't know any business that did not get some sort of government funding. Everyone, almost all the business did, okay? One way or another, got some assistance from the government. So one, government money is in your business. And one thing is guaranteed, and you are subject to audit. They can come in to audit you at any time they wanted because you did receive the government funding. So accounting audit could be triggered. You could be asked to present that. So this is another reason why accounting audit is coming in, right? So now let's go back to our tax audit. So in USA, there is two large governmental entities would audit taxpayers. And taxpayers can be you as a person with a body, but can also be your entity, right? Can also be your company, can also be the trust, can also be anything, not a real physical body, but is with a EIN number, with a ID number, okay? I call that EIN number is the social security number for your business or for your entity that is not you. So you, as a person with a life, a person who knows what means hungry, and that body has a social security number. Other than that, the rest is the EIN number that is for entities. Of course, with a warm body, and we also have what we call the IT number. So that's not equivalent to social security number, but is representing warm body, okay? So those are the audit. Audit will be done based on these numbers, by your social security number, IT number, or EIN number. So two large government body would do that. And the federal government, that's one. State government, that's another one. Okay, I am talking about the majority audit. Of course, there's weird audit coming out too. For example, the insurance company does annual audit. Workers' comp do audits, right? So those are, we're not talking about these audit right now. We're just looking at when we do audit, when we use the word of audit, how mostly it is being applied to. So tax audit. We just finished the accounting audit. Now you understand what that is. Now let's do tax audit. For federal government, there's two agencies are very good, are very active in auditing you because they generate huge income, billions from you being audited, and you pay back to the government. And the government do try to use their technology to do analysis to figure out who is worth of being audited. And if you are, they obviously would not audit a whole bunch of people and nobody owes taxes. That's never the case. And most of the data shows that the government screened out data has a reason why you are being selected for audit. So most likely you owe. And of course, in our practice, we have taxpayers who doesn't owe anything get pulled out. But that is okay because government need those data to know that what area and which kind of underlying operation should be audited more. So that's how the government is growing with the data while they're auditing people. So IRS is one, and the Department of Labor is another one. And IRS audit you for income tax, audit you for 1040 and your other business entity forms, right? 1065, 1120S, 1120C, and 990, you name it, they can audit it. They can audit 5500. So all kind of reporting tools that you do to IRS to pay taxes, or you didn't really make any money, you didn't pay taxes, these are all subject to audit. And you are called upon, say, I like to audit you. So you are not going to call IRS goes, I think I need to be audited, right? Most people don't do that. And so normally these audits are passive audit. You got called upon, so you're gonna go through that with them. DOL audit is mainly on labor law, right? On wages. So maybe you don't pay your folks double time or 1.5. Someone complained, so you got audited. They want to make sure that you are following the labor law in US. So that's the Department of Labor. And now with the pandemic, you know how we have this SBA loan, a EIDL loan, for example. You got the loan. The loan has a they have a definition of what you can spend that money to, at where, right? So they say that you can spend money for operation, and you can spend money for utility, spend money for rent and the payroll. So they had a whole list of things that you can spend that money on. But what if you decided to buy a Lamborghini with EIDL loan? So that's not on your list of things to spend. Unless you are a Lamborghini dealer, you buy them as an inventory, of course you can buy them. But normal people, you buy a Lamborghini to drive, and that's not EIDL loans spending scope. You're outside of that scope. So if they come to audit you, they would want to show all the expenses that you used the EIDL loan for. And that is a pandemic-related compliance audit. It is also part of the tax audit right now. So with that, you kind of know the federal government, we have the income tax audit from federal government. And I also want to show you this, if you look at this. This is IRS, right? This is the normal page you come to. Every time you come into irs.gov, you see this one. But I want to show you something else. It is kind of in the second layer of the IRS page. This is actually the page I come all the time. And because I learned what IRS has, you see, this is what IRS called IRM, Internal Revenue Manual. And this is the manual that Internal Revenue Manuals, this is the manuals for the Internal Revenue employees. So teach them, and also tell you, because they made it public so you can also see it, they also tell you the procedures, criminal investigation, appeals. And if you click any one of these, examination process, you learn exactly what you are going through when you are going through certain things with IRS. So I want you to kind of look at this one. I came to here. This is the screen that I look at all the time. And, you know, I wouldn't say all the time. I understand this one really well. Okay. So this is the whole structure of IRS. You have the commissioner. And then this is National Taxpayer Advocate. Remember, I'm in this panel. This is what I was talking about and what I was doing with the IRS. You know, as part of, I'm proud of, you know, my credentials and a part of what I am doing for the taxpayers. So I'm in that organization. So inside of IRS, the one who does audit for you, audit you, it is under here. It is the Commissioner Small Business Self-Employed Division. Okay, so this is most of our business folks getting audited. And so they are the one creating additional revenue for IRS other than the money we paid through the tax return. So understand where things are coming from and really spending your time. If you get audited and you don't want anyone to represent you and you want to do it yourself, this is do-it-yourself manual. Okay, so IRS has everything, and I tell you that the only difference between us representing you is you representing yourself is you are the first time going through the audit, but for us, maybe it is 1,000 times over, right? So that's why the experiences and also understanding of the IRS structures that would help us to proceed with what you want to accomplish. So that's where the IRS audit is. Same thing with DOL. You can go on DOL to search how they do audit. What do they normally do audit? For small businesses is mainly on the wage section. Of course, for other entities, DOL does a lot, 401k, those type of 401k, those kind of retirement audits on that side as well. But for small business, mostly is for wages. Other than federal, we have state, right? On the state side, you're not only audited by the income tax division, you also can get audited by sales tax and use tax. And you also can get audited by your unemployment insurance folks, which is the workforce, right? And that they also audit you very similar to DOL, Department of Labor. They're auditing you for worker eligibilities and payment, all of that. And of course, for pandemic side of compliance audit is also there because you actually did receive the state funded program, right? You got relief fund, things like that, and the state has right to audit you. So with that, I kind of give you an idea of what the audit is all about. So when you get audited by tax people and you are subordinate to that, you are called upon, you call yourself, boy, I win the lottery. Yes, you got sampled out, or for whatever reason, and you had a mistake in your tax return, or you didn't report certain item in the tax return that triggered you being audited. So you're being called upon to be audited. That's a tax audit. You will never initiate tax audit, okay? But accounting audit is different. You would initiate that because you knew you needed it. You knew your landlord needed it. You know your potential shareholder needs it. You know that in order to get more funding next year, I need an audit to be done so I can get funded. Or my license require me to get the organization audited periodically. So those are the things you go to get audited. So you have a right to choose different CPA firms to do that for you. And they have to be independent. They cannot be your bookkeeper and also do your audit. No. It's almost like you cannot choose your daughter to do audit for you as a mom, right? So that is not allowed. For tax audit though, because the government is sitting on the other side, you represent yourself or someone else represent you, that someone else could be your daughter. Okay, as long as that person has a POA, power of attorney, you can get anybody to audit you. You got a notice from IRS, or you should never got a call, by the way. You should never got a call from someone from the government saying that, hey, you got audited, congratulations. That's wrong. That's wrong. You should get a correspondence in writing saying that you got audited. And at that time, you have a right to choose your representative. You don't have to be in the audit at all. And I would, of course, when you find a representative, that there's a money you need to pay for people to represent you because the work needs to be done. But I still say, and that regardless of whether it's Community CPA represent you or me, Ying, represent you, the truth is that if you are not representing yourself and you decided to find someone to represent you, and it is much more important to find a person that who believes in you. And I say that because I have seen cases that, the person representing the taxpayer, but that person doesn't believe the taxpayer is doing anything correct. So if that mindset is there, you can believe that when this person represents you goes in front of IRS, what's going to happen? Everything, there's no defense, there's no reasoning. You're going to get the biggest charge and the most penalty because you are absolutely disregard of the rules. But in our audit experience, we understand our taxpayers. I'll give you a really brilliant story. This is a real story on audit. We have a Vietnamese gentleman and who operates a business and got audited. He did the audit himself. So he did audit himself, came back and had so much charge on there and he doesn't understand. So he came to me and asked me to look at his paper, see why he got charged so much. So I look at it, realize that the IRS disallowed all the cost of goods sold that he had. That's a lot of money and the IRS disallowed it. So basically he's paying taxes on every penny he sold, not on the profit. So I asked him, why is IRS disallow you cost of goods sold? He goes, I don't know, because I already give all the invoices to IRS. Said, I see, can I see the invoice? So I look at the invoice and I said to him that because he goes by an English name, say John, right? But on the receipt, it would show some different name, it's a Vietnamese name. And obviously, there's no reason for anybody to believe that Vietnamese name is the English name that he's using. So I asked him, why is your invoice is listing somebody else's name, not yours? He goes, what do you mean? That's my name. That's my Vietnamese name. So what happened is the wholesaler knows him by Vietnamese name. So just put his Vietnamese name on there. But when he get audited, at that time, he already become a US citizen. So he has a real English name. The Vietnamese name is not even showing on the Social Security card. So obviously, the auditor going to be looking at those cost of goods sold invoices, goes, no, it's not yours, and disallowed. I would agree with auditor, but it takes people like us to understand our client, to ask that question. Then he goes, oh, I become a US citizen and I changed my name. So I said, can you give me the name change, the citizenship copy, the name change copy? So let's just send that to IRS and then you won't end up paying any taxes because all of your cost of goods sold is under that Vietnamese name. So we sent that in, case got reversed, the guy didn't pay anything. So this is where it takes a little bit more than just knowledge to do a good audit. So with that, I want to conclude today's webinar by saying that when you got into a tax audit, not only you need to understand the technical side of it, you also need to look for people who culturally understand you. And that's really, really key. A lot of people who doesn't, especially those who are in business but doesn't speak a lot of English, and they are actually really trying to abide by the rules, but because they don't understand, so there might be things they did wrong, but wrong could be on one way benefiting the government, wrong could be shorting the government too. So we want to know all of that. If we correct one, we want to correct all of it, right? So with that, I hope that this is a useful webinar for everyone between the two audit, and don't ever be confused with accounting audit versus tax audit. Accounting audit is always self-initiated, and tax audit is always being imposed on you, and you don't ask for tax audit, and you don't want to be audited and by tax agencies. But accounting audit sometimes is a sign of growth. You grow and you become bigger, and your shareholder demanding more. So that could be a positive side of the whole business. And then the tax audit, as long as you do good business and you do your accounting bookkeeping right, and maybe you even did accounting audit, then you do not worry about tax audit. It will come through and the government will be pleased that you did everything right. You will make your business growing better and better. And I really appreciate your time with me this afternoon. And it is a talk without PowerPoint, but I still hope that you receive some knowledge that is very hard to be out there on the internet. People don't talk about those kind of things because they don't really know what are people confused about. And in our business, we really hear you. We have more than 10,000 clients. We hear the voice. So we can bring useful information to internet, to our YouTube channel, so you can always be educated with delight. I will talk to you again. Bye-bye, everyone.